Hello, and welcome to Cooking with Todd. This is Todd. For today's video, I am making red beans and rice. For this, you're going to need 500 grams or 1 pound of red beans. And I have reserved 500 milliliters of the soaking liquid, which that is 2 cups. You're also going to need 1,000 milliliters or 4 cups of chicken broth, and I am using Better Than Bouillon. Then you're going to need 2 tablespoons of olive oil, which I have right here. You're going to need 500 grams or, well, actually this isn't 500. I have 340 grams here of andouille sausage, and that is going to be sliced. I kind of decided to go a little fancy and sliced it at an angle. Then you're going to need jumbo or colossal shrimp. I do believe that is 340 grams. Yes, that is 340 grams or 12 ounces of that and the andouille. Then I'm going to need about 1 tablespoon of butter. I have 2 large onions. I love onions, so I am going to go and double my onions in this. You're going to need 2 ribs of celery. I have 3 fairly large ones here. Then you're going to need 1 red and 1 green bell pepper, and I have those diced along with the onion and celery. Those are going to need diced too. I'm going to need 6 cloves of garlic. I don't have that out right now. Then you're going to need 6 cloves of garlic. I'm going to crush those in. You're going to need 1 tablespoon of crab boil. I have this right here. This is actually homemade. I made a video on that. I'm going to hopefully put that video for that out before. It's pretty much just clarified, homemade clarified butter with a whole bunch of spices and aromatics in it. Then you're going to need 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon, I actually used 2 teaspoons of Cajun seasoning, and this right here is what I'm using. I love this stuff. And I got half a teaspoon of paprika, and I decided to use about a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper and a 1/4 teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes. That's in here. Then I have 2 large bay leaves and 1/2 teaspoon of thyme and 1 teaspoon of oregano, and those are dried. Then you're going to need, well, I've already said that. I said that earlier. You're going to need 1½ cups of long grain rice. I have that off behind me. To get started, you're going to want to add oil to a large Dutch oven. I have a 5½ quart Dutch oven, I do believe it is. So I am going to go ahead and switch my camera angle over, and I will be right back. Alright, so I got my camera angle switched over, and I am just using small red beans for this today. If you would want to, you could use the more traditional light red kidney beans. I just wanted to use these just to see what it's like. To me, they kind of appear to be kind of like a little larger than a navy bean, but smaller than a pinto. So I just wanted to try those today. So I'm going to start by adding a couple tablespoons of the oil into my Dutch oven here. This is already preheated on a medium heat. This might start smoking right away, so. Oh, not right away, but I'm going to go ahead and add in my sausage. And I am going to grab a rubber spatula if I can find it. And I'm going to just fry this here for a couple of minutes until everything just looks golden and nice and brown. and I will be right back. Alright, so this has been cooking here for a couple of minutes. I am going to grab my slotted spoon, and I am going to remove them back into the container I had them in. I'm not worried about cross-contaminating this, as it's going to go right back in later on in this recipe, so it's going to be cooked again. And I don't really feel like dirtying an extra dish to wash, so by reusing it, I'm just reducing how much I'm going to have to clean up later. But I don't know if you can really see that much, but there is a nice little fond on the bottom of my pan. That's going to bring in a lot of flavor. Later on. Alright, so I got that done. I am going to go ahead and add in my onion. And that onion is going to release quite a bit of moisture, and that's going to help deglaze that. I'm going to add in my butter. Which I'm going to add in around a tablespoon of that. I am going to saute this here for about 6 to 8 minutes, or until the onion starts to go a little translucent and the fond on the bottom of the pan releases, which is already starting to do that. But I will bring you back in about 8 to 10 minutes. Alright, so it's been about 5 minutes, and I am happy with how these are looking right now. As you can see, most of the fond has been released. It actually all released, and then it kind of just started sticking back to the bottom again, that's perfectly fine. I am going to go ahead and add in my red bell pepper, which this is going to help release some of that fond that's stuck back to the bottom. I'm going to just give this a stir, and if you find it's looking a little on the dry side, which mine is, you could go ahead and add in some more olive oil. I am going to add in a couple more tablespoons of butter. And I'm just going to get that situated on the bottom there so it can start to melt. This is going to go for another 4 to 5 minutes. And then I will bring you back. Alright, so that's been going for around 4 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and crush in my garlic. And so I got that really right there. Before. And I am going to go ahead and double crush my garlic like I always do. Try and get as much of that garlic as possible. And go ahead and give this a stir. Going to cook this for about 1 minute. or until the garlic becomes fragrant, which that should happen fairly quick. Alright, so that garlic is fragrant, so I'm going to go ahead and take my bay leaves out of there and put those into there. I'm going to take my thyme and oregano, and I'm going to rub it between my hands like this to help release the aromatics. Give that a stir. And I'm going to go ahead and add in my other seasonings. Give this one last stir and cook this for about another 30 seconds. And something I just kind of realized is this pot looks kind of full, so I might end up having to change pots halfway through this. We will find out. Alright, so I am going to go ahead and add in that crab boil, which is pretty much just a seasoned oil. I'm going to grab a small rubber spatula that sort of fits all the way into this jar. Get most of that out. And give that another stir. And I am going to go ahead and add in my chicken bouillon. I'm going to add in enough for 1,000 milliliters, which that should be about 3 to 4 of these spoonfuls. Since I'm going a little heavy on them, I'm going to just do 3. I'm going to go ahead and add in those 2 bay leaves, the reserved soaking liquid from the beans, and then 1,000 milliliters of water. I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick stir. And now I'm going to go ahead and add in my red beans. And if you get some that are broken like this, that is perfectly fine. I am going to take some of those beans out later and crush them, so a couple stray broken beans here and there really is not going to hurt too much. I'm going to stir this one more time just to get those beans incorporated. I am going to go ahead and put my lid on and set a 30-minute timer. I'm going to raise my heat to high and let this come up to a boil. Then I'm going to lower my heat down to a medium-low, and then I will start my 30-minute timer and let this simmer for 30 minutes, and then I will bring you back. Alright, so this has been going for about 35 to 40 minutes at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and stir this. And I did end up stirring this a couple times during that time that this has been simmering here. I am going to taste one of the beans. I want them to be about 3/4 of the way done before I add in the next thing. Okay, so those are good to go. They're not quite done, but that is fine. This is still going to go for about another 25 to 30 more minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and add in my rice. And I am going to stir that to incorporate that in there. And this is going to go ahead and simmer for another 20 to 25 minutes, or until the rice and the beans are done. So I will bring you back when that is done. Alright, so I am back, and this has gone for about 28 minutes now. I have came in here periodically and stirred everything up. I'm going to go ahead and remove the bay leaves. And in my opinion, I think I put just a little too much rice in this. So when I make this next time, I will adjust that. I'm going to say do 1 cup or 208 grams of rice. I'm going to go ahead and add in my shrimp and my sausage. And yes, I do know the shrimp is a little bit freezer burned, but it's been in my freezer for like 2 years, and I actually forgot about it, so finally using it. If you would, since I'm using the colossal shrimp, it's like I think one of the largest you can get, at least in my area. I would probably end up cutting these in half, or just using large shrimp in place. But this is fine. There's enough in here for somebody to get at least 1 or 2 pieces. I'm going to stir that until the shrimp and everything is stirred in, and this is going to go ahead and simmer for another 3 to 5 minutes. The beans should be done by now. I'm going to go ahead and grab a couple. Just do a taste test on those. Try not to get any rice in there. Oh yeah, the beans are done. They're perfect. And I did taste the rice before I started filming again, so the rice is done. The shrimp's not going to take long at all to cook, only a couple of minutes. So that's really all we're doing, is just cooking the rice. The vegetables are perfectly cooked. I'm also going to go ahead and taste for seasoning. Okay, it's perfectly seasoned, spice-wise. I'm going to add in just a little more salt. I'm going to say about half a teaspoon. And a little more black pepper. And then I'm going to add in just a little more of this. There we go. So, not much. About another half teaspoon or so. And that should do it. So I'm going to go ahead and just stir that one more time. And I think this is just a little too thick, so I might add just a little bit of water to thin this out a little bit. But so I'm going to go ahead and let this cook for 5 more minutes, and I will bring you back. Okay, so I'm back, and it's been about 2 minutes, and the shrimp and everything is done. So I'm going to just kind of try to get a spoon here with everything on it. And don't that just look so good? It's got just the right amount of rice and sausage and everything, and just looks so good. It tastes so good. And this is the first time that I have ever made red beans and rice from scratch. I've never even bought it pre-prepared or anything before in the past. So, since this is done, I'm going to go ahead and just wrap this video up. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button. If you enjoy the content that I'm putting out, make sure to smash that subscribe button. And as always, thank you for coming along with me on this journey of mine.